We've all had moments that break us down, searching for light when the world spins round. But in those cracks, the purpose is born, a new way to live when the old is torn. It's more than a story, it's the rise from the fall, a place where your purpose starts to call. With Dr. Stephenson, wisdom takes flight, turning your pain into hope, into light. Collide with purpose, embrace the change. Every story's got a fire in its flame. Tune in, listen, find your way to take life's hardest hits and turn the page. In the podcast, the truth is found. Collide with purpose, let love abound. From heartbreak to strength, the lessons unfold. It's about how we rise, not the stories we've told. Guests with their journeys, sharing their light. In every collision, there's power in sight. It's more than a talk, it's the wisdom we gain through every struggle, through every pain. With conversations that open the door to purpose, to power, to so much more. Collide with purpose, embrace the change. Every story's got a fire in its flame. Tune in, listen, find your way to take life's hardest hits and turn the page. In the podcast, the truth is found. Collide with purpose, let love abound. So come as you are, with your scars and fears. This is the place where the truth appears. Turn your trials into stepping stones. Find the strength to claim your throne. Collide with purpose, embrace the change. Every story's got a fire in its flame. Tune in, listen, find your way to take life's hardest hits and turn the page. In the podcast, truth is found. Collide with purpose, let love abound. A collision with purpose, your journey starts here. In every conversation, we'll wipe away fear. Find your purpose, let your life ignite. With Dr. Stephenson, you'll find your light.
Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to life-changing conversations to inspire actions. I am Dr. Laxley. February is recognized as American Heart Month. Across hospitals and health systems, we're encouraged to monitor our cholesterol, manage stress, and protect our cardiovascular health. But tonight, on life-changing conversations to inspire actions, we're going deeper. We won't just talk about the heart that beats. We will talk about the heart that feels, the heart that remembers, the heart that carries wounds no scan can detect. Here's the truth we will uncover today. You can be physically healthy and emotionally wounded. You can appear strong and still be silently overwhelmed. You can succeed publicly while struggling privately. And what we refuse to heal emotionally will eventually affect how we live, how we love, and how we lead. This conversation we're having today crosses time zones because emotional pain has no borders, and neither does healing. Today is not just about awareness, it is about action. So let us begin. Our guest tonight is Dr. Sharon, Theeheartlady Reid. Dr. Reid is a dynamic speaker, author, relationship and emotional management specialist dedicated to helping individuals heal trauma and strengthen relationships through conscious, heartfelt communication. She holds a doctorate of divinity and in transpersonal psychology, and is a licensed healthcare professional, mental health instructor, life coach, and hypnotherapy instructor. What makes Dr. Reid unique is her ability to integrate evidence based science with heart centered wisdom. Her message is clear: healing starts in the heart. Dr. Reid, welcome to Life Changing Conversations to Inspire Actions.
Give thanks, give thanks. All right, I am here and thank you for that wonderful introduction. So, here to support you, my brethren. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome, and I'm doing even better having you on the platform. Wow.
Thank you so much. So, so what would you like to chat about?
Well, we're going to talk about the heart today, but in a different way. But
Okay.
before we go into that,
Hmm.
you know, let us look at the person behind the conversation. Who is Dr. Reid? Can you share a little bit about yourself?
That is a loaded question. Who
Well,
is?
let's
Who
load it up
is?
with the answer. Give me a loaded answer. How about that?
Who is? I am who I am.
Mm,
Uh, I am a woman with strong conviction and in high values and integrity and respect.
mm,
On my personal life, I've been married over 40 something years. Um, I have five adult children. The youngest is 37. I have nine grandchildren.
mm,
Fun fact, I love martial arts. I love to read. I
mm.
love music and I love to dance. And then all the other stuff you already said, that I work as I facilitate workshops, I coach, and I give keynotes to recognize how emotions and the body have a connection, a true relationship.
Mm.
And I help decrease inner conflicts, mend broken hearts, and really guide people to make healthier choices. And so that's a little bit about my personal, a little bit about my work. I've been working in this field for about 15 years. And prior to that, I worked in and out of hospitals as a respiratory therapist and worked anywhere from infants to geriatric stage. So I'm a very versatile person in the health and wellness industry. And I love the heart. Uh, the heart is the connection between the upper body and the lower body. And the heart has its own brain. The heart keeps long term, short term memories. The heart has so many intricacies. And I know that when we live through the heart and breathe through the heart, we spread love. So that's a little bit about me.
That's a little.
I hope that answered your loaded question.
I asked you a loaded question. You load me up with the answer.
Hey,
I love it. I love it. Right? Talk about reciprocity, right?
oh, there you
And
go.
and and coming through in talking about yourself, I hear life. I love life.
Yeah.
Love life, and that's what it's all about. You know,
Hmm.
there's something that you say. One of your tagline is
Hmm.
that healing starts in the heart.
Hmm.
And during American Heart Month, that phrase carries deeper meaning.
Yeah.
So, what does healing starts in the heart mean for someone who's silently carrying emotional pain?
Well, they already know the emotional pain is in the heart. Uh, what happens physically has already happened emotionally. And starting in the heart means looking within. Too many times we want to heal and we look without. We're looking for doctors, we're looking for medication, we're looking for to talk to someone else. But first, we have to recognize what's going on in our body. What is it we thinking of? How are we focusing our thoughts, and how our thoughts shape our beliefs and our behavior? And so, I say healing starts in the heart when we start to look within, because that's where it carries the wounds, the emotional wounds, the trauma, as people call it, the hurt, the pain, the heartache. These words are not by mistake when we talk about heartache, when we talk about um, high blood pressure, All of these things stem from the heart. So that's my take.
All from the heart. Look within. That's where it's all at. So, you know, calling often emerges from experience, right? You,
Mm.
at what point and did you realize your work was not just healthcare, but heart care? When
Yeah.
did you make that discovery?
I made that discovery after working in the hospital. Then I worked for private practice, and then I worked as a health coach. And while I was working with the health as a health coach and with the providers, we as health coaches go a little deeper and not just telling the patient or the client what to do, but we tell them how to do it. And I recognize that you can tell people to do things like the doctor will come in and say, hey, you have diabetes, so you need to sleep more, you need to lose weight, you need to do this, so you need to eat better, all of these things. And then the health coach will come in and say, these are the things that you need support with. Which one do you want to work on first? And they maybe say, if I could just sleep. And so we work on sleep, it's shared decision making. And I had a particular client who was on the verge of having to take insulin injections. And she started to cry. And I said to her, I know you don't want to take needles, but look, your levels, and we call that the HA1C, it was so high that you have to now take injections. And I said, but I noticed that you're taking blood pressure medication. How come you remember to take that, but you don't take your blood sugar medicine? And she says, oh, because it's 3 times a day. And I don't have time to do it 3 times a day. I can remember my blood pressure because it's only in the morning and I take it before I leave. I said, oh, okay. So I went to the doctor and I told the doctor, hey, can we have an extended form? So that means that so she can only take one. And she said, oh, no, she can't. And I said, if she remembers to take her blood pressure, she'll remember to take that. So we put her on a 3-month trial and she took it, came back. It was 11 something. It went down to 5 something.
Wow.
So that's it on the physical level. But also what we talked about is what's going on. We understand that when we have things like diabetes or high blood pressure, something emotional also is going along. And diabetes also can mean that on an emotional, metaphysical side, is that they've lost the sweetness, lost the joy in their life. Not necessarily a loved one, but maybe there is a goal that they wanted to attain.
Mhm.
So there's many things that how individuals will take things to heart, right? Um, and so when we find out what was giving the sadness, and going beyond that, and letting them be able to understand how the sadness is taking over their emotions and their physical body, people begin to heal. People begin to heal. And this young lady, after coaching her, I started to ask her if she had any sadness in her life. And she said yes. She had just lost a brother. And we started to process and really say goodbye on another level besides the funeral, and teaching her things that she can do to uplift herself. And that's when I recognized that, hey, the heart speaks. And if we start healing from the heart, everything else will fall into place.
Wow. There's more to the story,
There's
There's
more
more.
to the story.
Yes, yes. All right. So, stress is a risk factor,
Yeah.
big risk factor.
Yeah.
However, what are some of the subtle signs that unresolved emotional trauma may be affecting someone physically?
Physically, what are some of the physical symptoms
What are
of
some of the
high stress?
unresolved emotional trauma? You just touched on a few of them when you talked about
Mm.
something that have happened in the person's life.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've lost something. Doesn't have to be a person.
that's right. Yeah. A lot of times my clients teach me things when you say it doesn't have to be a person, it doesn't have to be a thing, but I one of my clients taught me it was their pet. And
Mm,
I was I had to keep my professional demeanor going on. But I was like, this is just a dog. I mean, really? And I didn't understand how the dog was truly a part of their family and part of their emotional support. So my client taught me how grieving took many forms and even with a pet. And so I thank that client up to this day because I became more sensitive and I got to really understand how pets, not only dogs, but pets in general, are part of someone's emotional field. Um, so when we're talking about emotions, one of the ways I explain it is how it stays in your body first, right? We, let's see, best way to explain that is when you hear something that gives you a shock, that makes you feel surprised in a bad way, because you have good surprises and you have not so good surprises, right? You have good stress and not so good stress. But when you hear something that really makes you feel sad and you didn't expect to hear it, for instance, let's talk about when you heard someone just made their transition. They just died and it was unexpected. They weren't sick and in the hospital. The first thing when we hear that, we do what?
mm,
We take a breath in. We hold our breath. What we just did was put it in our body.
mm,
And so that's depending on where the most vulnerable part in your body, it may settle there. Some in their chest, some in their throat, some in their abdomen, stomach area, some of them in their knees. And the emotions get stuck there until you learn to release it. And there are many ways to release it. My number one favorite, and most healers in my field, are going to talk about the breath, breathing, and releasing. And so it's not just affirmations, it's about commanding and demanding and instructing and coding, communicating with your body how you want to feel and what needs to be released.
so it's a natural reaction when you get that news.
Yes. And we
Yeah.
keep it stuck instead of if we want to breathe it through and process it.
Mm,
Because if we don't process it, it stays there. Then something else happens, boom, on top. Then something else happens on top. Then something else, and then before you know it, you're exploding or imploding. You're getting angry, and you don't know the reason why you're getting angry. You hear something, it triggers you, and then the body tells you to pay attention. How? My knees hurt, my chest hurt, I have high blood pressure, I have this dis-ease in my body. And your body's saying, this is what's going on. You need to pay attention.
mm.
And too many times we don't pay attention to what's going on inside and we go and we take something to put the band-aid over it. And so it covers for a while, but it does still linger until you process it.
You know, I was in a conversation with a friend today,
Mm,
both of us Jamaicans, of course,
mhm,
and we're talking about mental health
mm,
as Jamaicans and
mm,
how we refuse to own it if we're having
mm.
challenges.
Yeah,
We refuse to own it. So if you're not willing to own it, you won't seek help, right?
yeah.
You certainly won't seek help. So why is it that people resist emotional healing even when their health and relationships are suffering?
Yeah, we resist because of fear. We
Mm,
resist because of lack of knowledge. We resist for the programming that we have received from we were young. We resist from the beliefs that we were taught, or and we're not just taught by our parents, we're taught by our environment, right? And so all of these things build up the resistance. But also, Dr. Locks, that the brain its function is to protect. And so the brain is going to protect, which makes you also go into denial. And so once you go in denial, disbelief, and then you make up all these excuses, because you're afraid of the truth. And also, you know, people are so judgmental. There's a lot of judgment out there. And people get ashamed or embarrassed that they're going through these changes.
Mm.
So this is why, mental health has been a taboo. In our country, we're like, oh, them mad. Don't pay them the mind. Them, mad. Them, so them go on. Don't worry about them. But it's
It-
a cry for help.
It's a cry
But
for help.
because we don't know how to support and help them,
Mm.
we just say, huh, that's the way they are. And I think that mental health awareness, uh, emotional awareness, and how it affects our body stress response is so needed. Because if we knew the words, when I teach about mental health first aid, we know the signs and we know the words to talk to the individual and let them become uh, uh, um, less restrictive, as the word you said, and become more vulnerable. I use that word vulnerable to my clients, and they all like, yeah, I don't want to be vulnerable. We're
Uh,
so afraid of vulnerability.
that's
But
not a good word, right? For so many of us.
so many, especially in relationships, as you said, mental health, emotional health,
Mm.
but vulnerable is really allowing yourself to be your true you. You ask me, who am I? And if I was being vulnerable, if I was afraid of being vulnerable, I'd be like, oh, okay. And then I'd give you all credentials and leave it as that.
Absolutely.
So being vulnerable is open, but you want to be careful because you want to be vulnerable to someone who cares, someone who has compassion, someone who can have empathy. And most people don't want to be vulnerable because they were at one time and then got burnt, then got hurt.
So in being vulnerable, you need to be somewhat cautious. Who are you being vulnerable around?
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
being responsible, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because again, people judge you by what they hear about you. I had someone just recently said that, I don't want to know everything that's going in their personal life. I'm an employer.
Mhm.
I don't want to know your personal life. All I know is that you need to do the work.
Mhm.
And the young lady was trying to be vulnerable, and she dismissed her. And I can tell you that that young lady will not be vulnerable in that situation again.
And what an example and what a case for not being vulnerable, even though you should certainly consider being vulnerable, make you a wholer and more sound person. Right. So February, Dr. Reid, is often centered around love. Of course, Valentine's Day, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But love without emotional maturity can be unstable. What
Hmm.
is the difference between reacting emotionally and responding intentionally in relationships?
Hmm. In relationships in particular, emotional intelligence and maturity is based on, again, your level of communication, your communication style.
Mhm.
Also, how you feel about yourself. When I'm dealing with relationships with clients, it's not necessarily begins with what's going on between you two, it's what's going on within yourself.
Mhm.
And it's about healing me before we heal we. And in relationships, it's a lot of times what we bring to the partnership is how relationships or love was modeled to us. So how you saw your parents or your caregiver or a parent, how they loved you, how they showed love to someone else, all of that is what you pick up and you bring.
Mhm.
So if you were neglected when you were young, then you're crying out for attention. When you were neglected when you were young, you may find someone who may show you love, and you clingy and you hold on to them because you did not get that when you were younger. So it's a lot of variabilities, but I can tell you that how we love is highly influenced with what we see and how our caregiver taught us.
Mhm. And the danger with that is receiving love from,
Yeah.
from the wrong person, the wrong
Yeah.
place.
Actually, I don't believe that you get it from the wrong person. I think that everyone that
Mhm.
comes into your life is there to teach you a lesson.
Okay, that makes sense. It's what is will you learn the lesson?
It's when you learn the lesson. And if you don't learn the lesson the first time, it comes around double the second time and worse until you get it. Some
Double learn,
people never get it.
double learn it, right? And how many times can you afford not to
Yeah,
learn it?
yeah. And so that, I always like to emphasize when young ladies or don't these days doesn't have to be that young, but when a woman is carrying a child
Mhm.
within her womb, how important it is to find emotional stability, some balance, some happiness, and to be able to heal those wounds. It's best if you try to heal some of your wounds before you have a child because emotions carry on in your DNA just like characteristics, traits, physical traits, characteristic traits, the emotions also show up. And so that kind of goes more into intergenerational trauma because we carry all of that within our system as well, within our heart.
Wow. Dr. Reid, I'm traveling to Kenya
Mm,
in May
okay.
this year, bringing a team, maybe about 12, 14 of us.
And where's my ticket? Look, I got my Kenya, ready, Kenya jewelry on.
You're ready, you're ready, you're ready. Because I know you're African, right? We're African, right?
Always.
Deep, deep down. Was it Peter Tosh that did that song? No matter where you come from,
I'm an African. That's
as long
right.
as you're a black man or a
That's
black woman, you're
you're
an
an
African,
African.
right?
Yes.
So true. So we're traveling to Kenya. What can you share? So we have folks from Kenya listening and will be watching
Mm.
the broadcast. What can you share?
So, keeping with the theme of heart health,
Mhm.
I realized that in Kenya, there is a high percentage of those that still smoke. Around 86% still smoke, which is a big, big danger to the heart. It is a higher risk for heart, what we call cardiovascular disease, right? So the smoke interrupts the respiratory system and the cardiac system works together. And the heart pumps the blood. And when it's pumping the blood, it goes through the lungs and then up to the brain and down to the rest of the body. When we have interruptions, the smoke and the chemicals in the cigarettes, they interrupt the process, just as the food that we eat interrupts the process. Now, all across Africa, heart disease is on a high uh, um, because we've introduced so much processed food. We moved around from the ground food. And then we have a lot of other variables as economic stress, relationship, heartaches, and so forth. So and then of course we're doing a lot of stuff online, so we're even more sedentary, right? And so
Right.
all these combinations are creating cardiac vascular disease. Um, it's still Heart disease is still the number one disease globally, including all the cancers. It's still the number one cause of death.
Wow.
And when you think about that globally, so it's not just in the Americas, it's globally. And I think that is why, ever since I started in the medical field almost 50 years ago, it's been the number one disease. It used to affect men mostly, but now women, because now there are more women who are heads of household, financial stress, relationship stress, less physical, intentional physical activity. And I have to say intentional because I have people who say, well, I walk to work, I walk to work and I'm walking up and down the halls and because you have to. Intentional exercise is a whole different story. And what are we doing when we exercise? It's not about losing weight, it's about staying fit, it's about increasing the oxygen in our body and helping our blood to flow properly. So I can go on and on with that. But in Africa at large, the risk factors are always lifestyle choices, right? Um, and that's the gist of it: lifestyle choices, and of course, accessibility,
Yeah.
and of course, awareness, screening, continual screening, and pre-screening. Those are the issues. As of 2025, the prediction of premature deaths due to cardiovascular disease, guess how high? Just give me a percentage.
They put me on the spot there. I would say
Yes, just a number.
about 40.
Absolutely. 43% in men and 52% in women.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
That's
lot.
that's
Half.
that's high.
Half.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Yes. So
That's
we
not a good number at all.
yeah, it is not a good number. And so you can tell why I'm passionate about spreading the knowledge of heart disease. And even I'm a CPR instructor. So teaching CPR, teaching the signs and symptoms of CPR and keeping it, we should know it like we know our alphabet.
Absolutely. It's coming out very clear. You do many things, but they're all connected. There's connectivity, there's alignment with
Yeah.
all things that you do.
Yeah.
And so, there's a pattern there. But you said it earlier that the heart is built to protect us, right? It's literally built to protect us. It's just structured that way. But we know that growth requires unlearning. Sometimes you have to unlearn some of the things you know in order to grow.
Mhm.
What emotional habits must people unlearn to build healthier relationships?
To build healthier relationships. I actually said the brain is
Mhm.
to protect us.
Yeah.
The heart is where our truth is. The heart is where our home is. Home is the heart holds our short-term and long-term memory. The heart actually sends messages
That's right.
via hormones to the brain, more messages to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. So I wanted to make that clear.
You did say the heart. I misspoke there. The
Yeah,
heart.
no worries. But you were asking about relationships and
Hmm.
how and what things we can do.
Yeah. What habits can
Oh, what
we
habits?
unlearn to build healthier
Relation.
relationships?
I love that question. Thank you. Um, Communication. When someone says they have issues in their relationship, it is communication. I often tease when they come to my office, I say, I sound like you're communicating well. But what we need to understand about communication is saying how you really feel. And I find that people have these expectations. Expectations brings disappointments. So I recently did a 30-day challenge with a couple who were having a lot of issues. And the best habit was to every evening was sit down, find a sacred space, never the bedroom. Bedroom is only for two things, right? Two things. You know those two things, right?
Yeah, you can say it if you want to. But yeah.
The bedroom is for only two things, okay? And so find a place that you would go and you would sit and you talk. And so I would give them 10 questions to answer, to re-engage, get to know. So every so often we need to check in with our partner. How you doing? How you feeling? Do you feel supported? What do I need? What do you need? And so forth. Where you see yourself next year? Forget about the next 5 years, but where do you see yourself? What do you want to do next year, within the next 6 months, and how I can support? So a good habit is to be able to, at the end of the day, it's something that I do myself. So how was your day today, honey?
Mhm.
What did what stood out for you? Or how did you feel? Did you enjoy your lunch? Simple things. And you'd be surprised how the conversation can develop and you really start to engage in with your partner and knowing what's happening. So definitely checking in
Mhm.
daily, nightly, in the morning. Another thing is, if we're talking strictly about relationships and how to keep having a long, loving, engaging relationship. How about a kiss in the morning, a kiss at night? When you're arguing, not to argue when you're on high emotion, but be able to say, I'm really feeling pissed right now. I mean, call it like it is. You're frustrating me, and I want to say some things that I really don't mean. So, can we just take a breath and talk about this in the next 30 minutes? I say don't let 72 hours pass because then it's cold. Some people say 48 hours, but don't. And then you hear also people say don't go to bed angry. You can try that, but I've found that in the morning it hasn't. If it hadn't been solved, then in the morning you're still thinking about it. So sometimes the sleep will give you a different perspective. However, if you can solve it at the time, that is best. And so get clarity. Make a habit to be clear with your partner on how you really feel. Decrease the expectations. If you have expectations, let your partner know. I hear all the time, well, you know me for so many years. You ought to know how I feel. Uh, how I felt when I was 20 is a whole lot different how I feel when I was 40 and going on down the years,
So it's a
right?
continuous, ongoing process,
It's an
learning.
ongoing process. So a good habit, just to be clear, is improve your communication style. Understand how your person shows love. Talk about your feelings and where you want to go, your values, and what's happening in your life now. Have a nightly conversation and just check in with your partner. I think those are a few good habits. And then have fun. Oh my gosh, have fun. Do
Mm,
something fun. Laugh. You remember when you just started dating, right? You had so much fun. You would go here, you would do different things together. And then when you've been in a relationship for a while, a lot of that kind of dwindles.
yeah. So if you can remember what you did in that initial phase of your dating and go back, stay there. And so just go back to that place.
And it's not as much as go back or stay there. I would use the term evolve.
Evolve.
Make
Yeah.
it even better. Because,
Yeah.
I may have liked to go roller skating when I was,
Hmm.
in my teens, when I was dating. But now I'm in my 30s and I'm like,
Yes.
or now I'm in my 50s. We can't go back there. But we
Yeah.
can do other things, find out what we enjoy and
Yeah.
do that together. Have a hobby that you can do together. That brings so much closeness when you find something that we both like to do.
To bring that energy that
Yeah, the energy you can
energy.
say you
Yeah.
want to keep. Yes,
The energy.
yes. You know how Jesse Jackson, may he rest in peace, always says, keep hope alive. Well, you
Hope.
got to keep the love alive and the intimacy alive.
You
And
know,
intimacy changes as you age.
I'm listening to you talk and
Mm,
relationships.
yeah,
Often people are in relationships, but they're not working. They're not working a relationship.
I
They
love
just
that.
exist in their
Oh,
relationship,
true, true.
and that is not a good thing.
Yeah, it's true. So I'm going to put you on the spot real quick. Why do you think that men are so resistant to coaching, or therapy or relationship conversations? Why do you think they shy away from it? I think a little bit more than women. What do you
we
think?
Earlier we talked about vulnerability, right?
Mm,
That's a big piece, I believe.
mm,
We can't be seen as vulnerable, and often when you're having these conversations, you have to open up and reveal certain things about where you are.
mm,
And for some men, it's perceived, and I'm going to say perceived as a sign of weakness.
mm-hmm.
And you know how men wrongly see things. I should say
Yeah,
wrong, that it is weakness. So
yeah,
certainly, anything that is going to bring healing to you is not weakness,
mm,
right?
yeah,
I believe that's one of without putting it all out there. I think that's one of the reasons for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's true. They don't. Oftentimes, I get them to come talk to me is because, I've been in a long-term relationship. I'm not like those others who've, married and divorced or been in relation in and out. I've been in a stable relationship for many years. All my children are with my
Mhm,
husband, and so a lot of times they respect that and will listen
mhm,
a bit, a little more, because it's just a conversation. I don't know what men think it is
mhm,
that like you said, the vulnerability. I'm not going to tell people. I know West Indian men. I'm not going to tell people my business, and we've been taught what happens in the home stays in the home. We're not chat my business, I'm about to
mhm,
talk my business, and nobody else can tell me what to do, right? So
mhm.
this is what we hear, and the belief systems. But you'd be surprised how having someone objective outside can give you some insight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's you cannot be objective about something when you're living in it.
When you're in it, right?
You gotta
Yeah.
have that bird's eye view, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
eagle's view to see
Right.
what is really going on. You know, Dr. Reid, you integrate science and spirituality
Hmm.
into emotional healing. And why do you find that some people will either lean into science or spirituality, but not both? And
Hmm.
what are the benefits of doing that, bringing it all together?
I'll start with the benefits. The benefits of is there are some people, men and women, are more linear thinking, right? Those that use their left brain, and they mathematical analyze, really try to decipher, analyze, break things down. And so it's important that you understand how the nervous system works, how the brain works, how the heart is more than just a pump and a muscle and an organ. And it's important that we can show scientifically that these are the changes. There's the new thing now talks about heart coherence, where we can actually show people like Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bradley Nelson and so forth. They can show you, Greg Braden, they can show you how, when you're upset on a graph, how your heart rate uh, um, affects, how your breathing affects, and how that affects your brain. And so sometimes I like to go very scientific when I'm dealing with clients who have anxiety,
Mhm,
because it can show what's happening with parts of the brain and how that is messing with their head. Oftentimes, people identify themselves with the anxiety, with the labels, and I don't label. I don't like the labels, because once we begin to label a person, they think that they become it. So, with that being said, is do showing the science also now is proving how what's happening in your body. And as I said earlier, it is a mind and body reaction, what's happening in your mind and also what's happening in your body. And so in my practice, I love to merge the science with the holistic strategies and remedies, which really become the spiritual work. And so the spiritual work is what we're doing. If it's breathing, if it's meditation, if it's acupuncture, if it's qigong, all of these things help to build that bridge and to keep that connection with having a healthier body and a healthier mind. Therefore, our emotions are we're able to uh, manage our emotions in a
mhm,
much more compassionate way for ourselves and for others. And so, with heart, since you brought that up, with heart, there is a Qigong exercise that I teach people who have high blood pressure, is to do cupping. So, we cup our hand and we cup along both arms. This
mhm,
helps circulation, because there is what we call a meridian that goes from the pinky all the way to the heart. So tapping that stimulates that. I also teach other exercises that, let me try to find one that I don't have to stand up on. There are points in our wrist that we can press, that also, when I say press or massage lightly for a couple of minutes, that also helps to calm down the emotions and circulate blood throughout the heart. Of course, love breathing exercises always work, and there are a plethora of them, so people can look up breathing exercises. There's an energy one that I show most of my clients who are high strung is to put their hands up. And so if you do it, you can feel slowly bring it down
Mm.
with the breath. And if you do that, you see how relaxed your body gets. So there are certain exercises, and that combines the science of the body, energy, spirituality, all of that good stuff. So that's what I bring, and I know it works. I've seen it work, and I do it myself.
I felt a bit relaxed just watching you. I know it's
Yeah, it's really good for anger. The other day I had someone, she was so angry, and I told her to hold your fist real, real, real tight and then just throw it behind you. So if I was standing, you would see me hold my fist up really, really tight and then just release and throw it behind me. And I was like, yeah, because we're releasing. We want it behind us. And so you could muster it up and then relax it. And that puts your body, helps your brain, helps the nervous system, the
Mhm.
sympathetic nervous system calm down because you're talking to your body when you're doing some of these physical activities.
Mhm. And talking about talking to your body, let's talk about forgiveness. That's a big one.
That is a big one.
Yeah. What role does forgiveness play in freeing the heart?
Mm, I love that. Um, when you don't forgive, and that is, we're keeping a cage around our heart.
Mhm.
We're imprisoning our emotions. When we don't forgive, we're actually telling the person who's angry at us or who we're angry at, you have the power and the key to to unlock my emotions. And as long as you stay angry or upset or do not forgive the person, then you are hurting yourself more than you're hurting the other person. That's why the cliche is forgive yourself first,
Mhm.
right? Or forgiveness is not for the other person, forgiveness is for you. That's the most common phrase, which is absolutely true. Forgiving is a compassionate action, it's a loving action. And so forgive while you're learning the lesson or have understood why you're upset and why it's necessary to forgive. It's necessary to forgive for your own personal health. And so there are many stages of forgiveness. There are many stages. People have heard of the five love languages. Well, there are also five apology languages.
Mhm.
And when you understand your style of apology and you understand your partner's style of apology, and even if it's not your partner, I can look at you and I can say, well, this is this is how I'm feeling. And so that you can tell me how you're feeling. And And if you can't tell the person, you can write a letter to the person. They don't have to get it, but you took the energy out of you. So
Mhm.
forgiveness is all about self healing. Forgiveness is all about self care, self love, self respect. So it's important to forgive. Why are you holding on to things the person is or the situation already gone? The person doesn't even know they're doing their thing, and then you are imprisoned by all of this emotions that is so low on the frequency and vibration scale.
It's always interesting to me that after a divorce,
Mm.
you will have one partner 5 years later
Uh-huh.
still holding on.
Hmm.
Not,
They haven't let it go.
yeah, won't let it go.
They have not released it, and I tell you that until they release it, they won't find a level of happiness.
Yeah, there's
And they
certain.
will bring that same issue to the next relationship.
Mm.
And a lot of times, I have people come to me. because they felt like they couldn't forgive. Oh, and they say, no, they say, oh, I forgive them. But when they're talking about the situation, you hear the anger. If you
Mm,
still hear the anger, you have not forgiven.
you have not.
You have not forgiven, and they're talking, and you can tell that they're right there at that same place when
Mhm.
they were being hurt,
And they
right?
know it too. They know it too.
That's right. So forgiveness is not a brain thing,
Yeah,
it's a heart thing.
it's a hard thing, indeed. Now let's talk, Dr. Ray, let's talk about high achievers.
Hmm.
Those high achievers, we know, right? They
Okay.
often hide emotional wounds behind their success.
Yeah.
How do you, how do you help driven professionals confront what they have been suppressing, what they have suppressed?
Hmm. So a lot of driven people are analytical. They have a purpose in mind. For me, what I would suggest is that there's an imbalance,
Mm,
and so they have to find time to relax and have fun. Most people that are success driven and just know they have a goal and they got to go, go, go. I know a young lady who has 3 jobs because she has a mission. Her child is going to nursing school. She has to make the money. She's a single mom. She is gone. Weekends, she's working 2 jobs. And the weekdays, she's working 2 jobs and then another one from home.
mm,
There's going to be a breakdown real soon.
mm.
And so high achievers, definitely you got to go for it, but you have to try to find the some time and actually schedule it in. I'll never forget this years ago when Oprah Winfrey had the her talk show. She had said that she noticed that she was starting to get sick because she did not schedule in her me time. And I was like, wow. She said, when it was on my schedule, I did it. And as soon as I got so busy and did not schedule in the me time, my health started to deteriorate. And I said, that is such a wonderful lesson right there.
That
So,
ME,
for high driven people, put it on your calendar.
you know, you're talking to me right now, but
Yeah, you do so much, but even with the traveling and with the going, put it on your calendar. I must confess, talk about vulnerability. I must confess that for me, in the last 2 months, I have been just going, going, going. And I'm said to myself, I'm doing too much. And I had to stop and say, well, what would I tell a client? And
Mhm.
that's it. I said, I need to take a day off.
Yeah.
I need, because I was feeling, I was, on high cortisol level. I just felt everything was a rush. And I actually felt it in my body. And I was like, oh, nope. So I decided that I'm going to take a Monday off or
Mm.
a day off just for me to do the other things that I need to do and not feel rushed every day and trying to squeeze in so much. And another thing high achievers do is they may have a long to go to do list. All these things I got to do. All right, Mr. Laxley. All these things I got to do. And I have to do it by this time. And I would suggest and invite you to think about what are the priorities. Cut that list down and do the priority first, and then let the others take care of themselves. You won't feel so much stress. But for me, I decided that I'm going to actually really take a day off. Saturday is not a day off because you got all the other errands and chores and whatnot. Sunday is not a day off because it was, preparation and so forth. So I said, I'm going to have to take a day off no matter what day it is.
Right.
Be flexible. Just because I said I'll take Monday, Monday may not allow, but I am going to take a day off where
Yeah.
I can just do what I want to do for me. Some people may call that a self care day,
Mhm.
and self care days are important. If
Mhm.
you can't do it once a week, definitely once every 2 weeks, but schedule it in. Even throughout your 8 hours, you can schedule in 30 minutes for yourself. You can find 30 minutes. You deserve 30 minutes just to collect your thoughts together, to breathe, to check in with yourself, to reassess how did I talk to that person? How did I feel when that person spoke to me? What do I need to learn? What do I have to give? What can I do to make myself healthier?
Get that me time on that schedule and prioritize it.
Schedule it, prioritize it, because what if you're not good to yourself, you're not going to be very good to others. You could be a whole lot better.
So true. You know, Dr. Reid, our organization is about purpose, right?
Mm,
All about purpose.
okay.
When healing begins, something shifts within the person.
Yeah.
Something. How does purpose begin to surface when emotional healing takes place?
How does purpose stir up in an emotional place?
Start to show up, start to
Show
surface.
up.
Mhm. When that person becomes whole or becoming whole, emotional healing is taking place.
Yeah. The purpose is automatic.
Mhm.
The purpose is has always been there.
Mhm.
When you are beginning your healing or in your healing journey, your purpose shows up as well. And so I think it works hand in hand. You'll know because as you begin to heal, you get clarity.
Clarity.
As you heal, you begin to live in your purpose because we are designed to be healthy beings, not sick beings. And so, therefore, um, the purpose shows up without you even recognizing it. I mean, you will recognize it. The purpose shows up without you having to work on it.
Work on it.
It shows up. You don't look for purpose. Your purpose is already within you. And when you're healthy and you have healthy practices by sitting still, being quiet, taking that me time, making yourself priority, understanding what your values are, living with boundaries, your purpose shows up
Mhm.
automatically.
Automatically. Clarity, clarity, clarity. Dr. Reid, this segment here, I call it quick fire reflections, right? Let's move into what I call instinctive responses. I'm going to ask you next three questions, just one word answer, okay?
Uh-oh. You didn't tell me about this.
Healing or avoidance? Which shapes destiny faster?
Healing or avoidance?
Yeah, which one shapes
Healing, of
destiny
course.
faster? Healing, of course. Love or fear? Which drives most relationships decisions?
Which drives most relationships to what?
Decisions. Love or
Oh,
fear? Which
fear.
drive most relationship decisions?
Fear.
Mm. Talk to me about that one. We gotta go into that one.
I know you was expecting me to say love. I think,
No,
I
no,
think,
no. I had no expectations. I just
okay,
wanted to
good,
ask.
good for you. No, I think fear drives most of the decisions because either they're fear of what the other person's going to say, what the other person's going to think about them, fear about what the future may be, fear of what the past was. So I think fear in the guise of protection shows up.
Hmm. Wow. All right. Science or spirit? Which speaks louder in emotional recovery?
Oh, that's a good question. Science.
Mm. We're gonna leave it at that. One word that defines this seasons of your calling. One word that defines this season of your calling.
Heart.
I mean, what else, right? What else? I thought that one would have just popped off your.
I thought it was I had to digest it, which is something that before we just pop out, we do really want to pause and
Mhm.
think. Yeah. And so, heart, and I'm sad that you use one word because it would be heart consciousness.
Yes, yes. And it makes so much sense. For you're the heart.
Actually, with Theeheartlady, I did not name myself. I have to give credit to one of my clients. Came to me, and this
Mm.
was years ago, and she was teaching me about social media and hashtags and all this thing here, and and she was had a friend with her, and she said, "Oh, there goes the Heart Lady."
Just like that.
Yeah, and then she said to me, "You so should name yourself, brand yourself as the Heart
Mhm.
Lady, because we think about the things that you do around the heart." And I remember earlier in this conversation, you were saying everything you do centers around the heart, and
Wow.
I that's how I was like, you know what? I like it.
And you know what I have to say about that?
What's
If
that?
the cap fit,
Wear
let's
it.
wear it. So the
Yeah.
cap fit, right? All right. So as we're getting ready to wrap up, right? So tonight's conversation, Doc, is all about action. We're all
Mhm.
about right. For the person watching who knows their heart needs healing but
Mhm.
feels afraid to begin,
Yeah.
what is the first courageous step they should take right now?
The first courageous step that they should take when they know that their heart is healing is to be able to put their hand on their heart,
Mm,
close their eyes when
mm,
they're in a quiet, safe space, and ask their heart, what is it I need?
mm.
The answer will come.
Welcome. What? Ask the question.
Yes, ask the question. Ask your heart the
Mm-hmm.
question, what is it I need to
Mm,
heal?
mm,
And then the next step is to do it. Sometimes we're afraid to do it, don't know how to do it. And that's when you call on someone like the Heart Lady to
yeah.
support you and to guide you with that journey and give you my process is always 3 steps: physical, emotional, spiritual. When we combine those, then we can get wholeness.
And call the heart lady. How can they get in touch with you? How can someone get in touch with you?
They can go to support at Dr. Sharon Reid or .com, or they can go to I'm on Instagram, The Heart Lady, Facebook, Sharon at The Heart Lady, or Sharon The Heart Lady Reid. So when you look for The Heart Lady, remember that's THEE, because the only. All right, not the, but the THEE Heart Lady. You should be able to find me.
And get the extra E in there, right? All right.
Yes.
So, Doc, as we get ready to draw down our conversation today, here's an opportunity for you to share any final thoughts. Whatever you want. Maybe I didn't ask you a question and you wanted to talk about something. Let's share your thoughts.
I think we talked about, I think we talked about most of the things that are important. So just like to reiterate being conscious of how you really feel.
Mhm.
Stop, don't avoid it, express it. Express it with compassion, kindly. You know, our emotions, that when we're feeling something, it takes uh, 30 to 60 seconds. And by 90 seconds, it reaches its peak. And it depends on that emotional maturity that you were talking about, Professor Laxley.
Mhm.
Depending on that emotional maturity, you can at that time release and allow it to fade, because it will, or you'll keep it and it will loop and loop and you keep on thinking about it over and over and over again. Catch yourself. So remember, the heart provides the quality of your health,
Mhm.
how you love, and the way you live.
Wow, powerful. All right, so let's send a big shout out to Sharon, your co-host, or
Speak harmony, Sharon T, the sister connector.
the
Heal up,
connect.
heal up.
All right, and she said, "Forgiveness is a hard thing indeed." The
Yes,
word
check us
has
out on
sister.
Speak Harmony Tuesdays. I got to do a little shout out. Thank
Yeah,
you, Sharon T.
yeah, plug it, plug it, plug it, plug it.
Tuesday Speak Harmony every Tuesday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, APAT Media Group or Speak Harmony. Check
Yeah,
us out on YouTube.
a big conversation going on over there every Tuesday.
Yes, yes.
You need to be a part of that. Join that and be a guest over there. Be a guest. Big thing. I was on the other day, thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope I get another invitation to come back.
Definitely. And family, check him out. Check out Professor Lax and all the wonderful things that he does to help and serve the community. And he does that because he has a wonderful heart.
Wow, it's all about the heart. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, Sharon. All right, so today we were reminded that heart health is not only physical, it is also emotional, right? And you can strengthen your body and still weaken your peace. So you can look successful and still carry silent wounds. You can
Mhm.
smile publicly while still hurting privately.
Mhm.
But understand that to seek healing, to be vulnerable, is not a weakness.
Mhm.
There's courage in seeking healing. There's courage
Yeah.
in being vulnerable. And
Yes.
having that courage is a decision that you make, by the way. You know, American Heart Month should not only change what we eat, it should challenge what we carry with us. Get rid of them thing, forgive people, forgive yourself. You know, Dr. Sharon Reid, the Heart Lady, Reid, I just want to thank you for sharing with us today, for empowering us, and to giving us all its wonderful information, and for reminding us that emotional strength is not suppression. It is
That's
more
right.
about self-awareness.
Yes.
More about self. And to everyone watching from wherever you are in the world, or will watch this program, do not ignore what surfaced in you today. Make the call, start the
Yes.
conversation,
That's
seek
right.
help,
Mhm.
release the weight you're carrying, because this is not just content we're pushing out here, it's real stuff. You know, so this is life-changing conversation to inspire actions. My guest today was none other than Dr. Sharon, the Heart Lady Reid. And with that, I will give you the last word, Dr. Reid.
Oh,
Take us
yeah.
out.
Give thanks, give thanks. Big up life changing conversations. Continue to inspire action. Um, the heart also has a very spiritual component, and you talk about the science. It has been measured how that the vibration of the heart, it can are at least 12 feet outside our body. That's scientific, but that is spirituality. We also can pick up the vibes. So listen to your gut feeling because that really is part of your heart. Listen to it, follow it, and I'm sure you'll be on right on track.
All right. Listen to your gut feeling. So said the Heart Lady. We're out. Blessings always.
We've all had moments that break us down, searching for light when the world spins round.